Okay, thanks everyone for joining us tonight and welcome to the first CASA Choices of the new year, 2022. Tonight we're really excited to have Jason Mott, who is the general manager of the Peoria Chiefs, our hometown baseball club here in Peoria. He's got some really exciting things to share with us tonight. So let me introduce him. Jason Mott is entering his 8th season with the Peoria Chiefs and his 6th as a general manager. He graduated from Southeast Missouri State University in 2002 with a degree in sports management. Prior to joining the Chiefs, Jason has worked for the Memphis Redbirds, St. Louis Athletica, and the Nashville Predators. Jason is married to his wife, Kristen, and they have two boys, 10 and 6, and reside in Washington, Illinois. So before Jason gets started, just want to remind you if any questions come up, if you want to ask Jason anything during his presentation, just type it into the Q&A box down at the bottom. And when his presentation is over, we will take some time and answer all of your questions. So with that, I will turn it over to Jason.
Perfect. Thanks for Kyle. I appreciate you guys having me. Definitely excited to see everybody, be able to speak to everybody tonight. And I enjoy doing these kind of things. They're kind of cool to sit back and talk a little bit about, what I do. I feel like I get paid to do something fun, and it's a cool job. So, I'll kind of talk to you a little bit about my path. How did I get here? I obviously, growing up, sports was life. Played a lot of different sports growing up. Probably had my parents running me from place to place, playing different sports year round, and kind of all the way through high school. And once you get into high school, it's always like, well, what do you want to do with your when you get older? And I knew I wanted to be in business a little bit, and that was kind of my goal. I knew I loved sports, but for some reason, I really, really wanted to be an accountant at the age of 12. And so I kind of went in thinking, hey, I'm going to be an accountant for my career. Before I got to college, I've got to do some kind of cool things, kind of growing up. One thing I'm pretty proud of, back in high school, back in 1996, the Olympics were in Atlanta, Georgia. We ran, there was a torch relay that went around the country, state to state, which was kind of a cool experience to watch it travel from around the country. When it came through Southeast Missouri State, I was actually nominated and was able to take part in that. I got to hold the torch, run about a mile or two through Southeast Missouri, which is something that honestly I'll never forget. Just an opportunity to be a part of the Olympics. Never going to be good enough to compete in the Olympics, so we'll say that was the closest I ever got to it. But once I graduated high school, I actually went to Southeast Missouri State University, and like Kyle talked about, like I said, went up there to be an accountant. That was my accounting major. I loved math. That's what I wanted to do. Actually tried out for the basketball team. Got the opportunity. They offered me a spot to walk on with the basketball team in college, and was meeting with the coaches, and they told me, hey, we got like 6 guards and all these different people, and just didn't sound as fun to me. I'm too competitive. I like to play. Sitting on the bench is not something I would be able to handle. So they offered me the opportunity to be a part of the team. Did an undergrad assistant with them for 4 years, where I did a lot of the travel, and got to do got to be a part of the team, got to scout and do things, and I got paid to do it, and then they played the games. So to me, it was a win-win. I got to be around sports and made money doing it. And that's really where I think my career really started off, and started thinking about the sports side of things. I'd never really thought about it prior to that. Actually thought I was going to be a college basketball coach. That was kind of my goal when I was with the basketball team. And then one night I was talking to a coach, and he told me, I said, how much do you make? And he goes, well, my salary is $13,000 a year. And I was like, well, that won't work. And he goes, well, I make most of my money during the summer camps that we do. And it hit me. I'm like, that's the camps I do all the work. And he goes, yeah, you do the work and I make the money. And I said, okay. But at that point, I knew that college coaching probably wasn't going to be for me. I didn't want to put that stress of being, it's kind of one of those, you have to earn your stripes to make the money. So I started looking at the other side of things, and about halfway through my college career, my university created a new program called sport management. And a friend of mine ran into me on campus one day, and she was like, hey, I just changed my major to sport management. And I said, where do I go? I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what I was really signing up for. But I changed my major about halfway through college. And it was honestly the best decision for me. It gave me the opportunity to really do my two passions. Sports and business are my passions. And so I combined both of those, and it felt like a win-win. When I got towards the end of college, a big thing when you get to college is doing internships and getting that experience. They asked me, kind of, what do you want to do? And I was lucky enough to get a job, not job, but an internship with the Nashville Predators in marketing. I lucked into it. Somebody bailed out, and they said, hey, can you be here in 2 weeks? And I said, absolutely. And they said, do you need to ask your parents about it? And I said, nope, sure don't. And so I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. First time I'd ever been away from home. And I always say, I grew up in Southeast Missouri, but I truly grew up in Tennessee when I moved away and had that opportunity to kind of be my own person and not have somebody there to kind of do things for me. Spent 6 months with the Predators doing marketing. I'd never seen hockey. The only thing I knew about hockey before I got there is that they fight. That was my whole knowledge of the game of hockey. Never watched a game. Worked my first game as an intern in the sports industry and absolutely loved it. Like, couldn't sleep that night. I was ready to go. I was like, when's the next game? What are we doing next? And my career really took off from that day. It was in early January of 2002. Almost 20 years ago, probably just a couple of weeks from 20 years ago. And I never looked back. I got an opportunity to work for Nashville on a kind of a 6-month retainer job to prove my worth. Is either you get a full-time job at the end of the 6 months or you go find somewhere else. At the end of that 6 months, I actually had 3 job offers. I had one in Nashville, I had one in Chicago with the minor league hockey team, and I had one with the Tampa Bay Lightning. My heart wanted to go to Tampa where it was nice and warm, but I was about to be an uncle for the first time, and just decided it wasn't the best thing for me to move that far away from Missouri when I was going to want to get home for the birth of my first nephew. So I took my job in Nashville, really worked my tail off. I've always kind of looked at myself and said, hey, there's one thing that I can control, and that's my effort. That's my attitude. And I live that motto every day, and it started back then. Got myself up into a management level a little bit, starting to learn the other side of things. I knew that at some point I wanted to be the boss and not be bossed, and had the opportunity to move on to a women's professional soccer league in St. Louis, and basically took that job, accepted it the Tuesday before my wedding to my wife, Kristen. And then we moved to St. Louis from Nashville, spent about 3 months there and realized that soccer just wasn't for me. And I think karma definitely comes back around because my 2 kids play travel soccer, and soccer's life now. So, but just knew that it wasn't for me. I wasn't enjoying it, and I needed to find back my passion to find something I wanted to do every day. So then I went in, moved to Nashville, or back to Tennessee, moved to Memphis to work with the Redbirds, the Cardinals AAA affiliate, spent 5 years there. And then had the opportunity to know the owner, one of the owners and the president up here in Peoria. And he talked to me one day and said, "Hey, I need somebody up here. Would you be interested?" And it was the right time. So I moved up here 8 years ago, and have never looked back. Really enjoyed my time in Peoria. Definitely feels like home. I'm from a town of 3,000 people originally, so this is more my speed than living in the big city. So definitely enjoy it. And so that's kind of how I got here. Growing up, I hit on a little bit. I knew that I wanted to be in sports. To me, I tell people every day, my office is the ballpark. You can kind of see it a little bit behind me here, that picture of the ballpark. This is my office. Like, to me, there's no better office out there. I get to go to a ballpark every day and I get to talk sports. So it hit, basically what I was looking for in my career. Had a lot of success doing it, and definitely am glad that I took this path for my career. Couldn't imagine doing anything else. If I wasn't doing sports, people ask me, "What would you do?" And I don't know. I probably wouldn't be happy. So I'm glad I'm not having to think about that. Growing up, I think the big thing, that you guys will learn as you kind of go through life is we all have mentors. And it can start at really any age. People that are there, they have your best interest out. They're there to help you. A lot of times it's mom and dad. But as you grow older, it's other people that step in that role. I can think a little bit back to high school. One of my track coaches, and he was also a football coach, Coach T, was, somebody that always had that faith in me. Even when I doubted that I was good enough, he always pushed me to be better. He knew I could. And until this day, he's somebody I go and see every time I go home, just to check in with him and see how things are going. So he's definitely the first guy that I can think of outside of my mom and dad that were a mentor for me. Kind of going into when I got in the career of sports, I think Marty was one of my bosses in Nashville. He and I still talk to this day. He's now in Columbus. He was another guy that just kind of pushed me to be better. And I think that's what mentors do. They're there to help you succeed. They're there to make you better, to challenge you, and know, even when you think that you can't be better, give any more or be better, they know you can, and they're there to support you. So you'll learn those people, I think, as you go through life, that are there to support you. You can probably think of somebody now that is a mentor that you trust and has your best interest. Those people are people to keep around for life. They're there when you need an ear. When you find your mentors, definitely build that relationship and keep them around. I think they're a vital part to everybody's success in life and happiness too. They're there when you need them, and it's always good to have somebody that's not family, that's there to push you and support you and all that. So, those are two guys that I definitely think about time to time, and how much they've done for me in my career. Had they not pushed me, I don't know if I'd have been as successful as I have been. A lot of people ask me, what's a typical day like for me? In one word, it almost feels like organized chaos. No day's the same. Every day's different. People are like, well, what does your job entail? A lot of people, when they hear general manager, they think of the person that, hires players and the coaches and all that, and makes the decision on who's on the team. That is not what I do. The St. Louis Cardinals are affiliate. Their staff down there decides what players we get, who's going to be our coaches and trainers, and all that. and then I take care of everything else. So I oversee the operation of the stadium, selling tickets, sponsorships, marketing, community relations, everything else except for the team and the outcome on the field, which I joke is probably a good thing. I don't think people want me scouting talent with people, and I don't think that would be something I'd be very good at. But so that's a little, my day. A lot of times I get in at 8 o'clock. Right now, off season, there at about 5. It's 5 days a week, not too crazy. I do a lot of work at home, but during the season, in at 8 o'clock, a lot of times I don't leave till like midnight, and then I'm back the next day. But I love it. It's something that I wake up every day excited to go to work, and that's all I can ask for. I've always said that if I get to the point where I wake up and I'm not happy or not excited to go to work, then that's probably the time that I need to look for something else. If you don't have the passion every day to get up and go and do the job and aren't excited about it, then that job's not for you. That's just, kind of the way I've always looked at life. You got to love what you do, because we do it a long time. I'm entering my 20th year in sports. I've loved every minute of it. I've had a lot of success in my career. And a lot of it doesn't happen without hard work and not loving what you do. So I encourage people to really find that passion of what is that drives you, makes you happy, and make sure that you look for a career in that realm, because you want to love what you do. You shouldn't just be a paycheck. You should be excited to go to work. Right now, we're getting ready for the season. We're excited. I think the question I get asked every day is who's going to be on the team. Not sure yet, but we got a lot of fun things exciting for the year that we're planning. Going to be a lot of fireworks are probably our favorite thing to do. We'll shoot off a lot of fireworks, but we're going to have a lot of fun this year. The way the last couple of years we've all kind of went through a tough stretch here, and it's had its challenges, and that's something that we haven't skipped out on. Last year we were able to have a season. 2020 we weren't, but last year still a lot of restrictions. Wasn't as fun. I heard from everybody how it wasn't like it was in the past, and we tried to tell people that from the get-go. Hey, this is going to be a year that's just not like normal. Just stick through it. We'll get through this year and we'll get back to having a lot of fun, and that's what we're excited about. We're excited to bring fun back, come to the ballpark, get away from life and have fun with it, and really truly just have a great time at the ballpark. We're here to create memories for people, so we're definitely excited to get back to 22. Got a lot of cool things that we're looking at doing this year, so I think people have a lot of fun at the ballpark. It'll be exciting to get crowds back and really getting the atmosphere back to where it was, with a lot of people having fun and kids running around and all that. We love that. It's that atmosphere that we want to create, that fun atmosphere. So definitely excited to do that, and hopefully you guys come out and see us. And if you do, stop by and say hi. Homer will be waiting for everybody. I think he's itching to get back and see everybody. It's been a long several months since the season ended. So the last thing I want to tie on, and I love to answer questions because it's easier for me to answer what you guys want to hear and know, because I can talk for days. But we've had a lot of success on the field with players. If you come to the ballpark, look to come in the suite level, the lobby there. If you need to ask somebody there, like, where's the suite lobby? We have a wall that goes all the way back to 1983. It goes back to our first year as an organization, and it's got a home plate plaque for everybody that has made it to the majors and played a game in the majors. And there's some cool people. a lot of people before, probably a lot of people watch baseball or anything before their time, but a lot of people back in the day, from Wally Joyner to Ryan Sandberg to Mark Grace and all those, to current people now like Javi Baez played here, and trying to think of a couple other Cubs that we've had. Now I'm drawing a blank on them, but a lot of Cardinals. We went back and forth. We've been a Cubs affiliate, Cardinals affiliate. Yadi Molina played here. Albert Pujols played here. Now current guys like Paul DeYoung and Dylan Carlson and Harrison Bader, Tommy Edman. All these guys have, Jack Flaherty, all these guys have come up through our organization. We've had, I think, about 150 or so major leaguers come through and put on the Chiefs uniform in our history. And that's not to think about all the other guys that have played for visiting teams. And that's what I think the cool thing about what we do is you can come to the ballpark and you can see somebody here play, and a year or two later, you might see them on the TV playing for their professional team. And to me, that's cool to think about. Hey, I saw Yadi Molina when he was here, and now he's in the majors and about to retire after a very successful career. So it's an opportunity to see these guys that worked hard to get up there. And we also take pride that Peoria was a part of that success. You think about all these guys that come through Peoria and play baseball. They don't make it if they don't continue to get better. And Peoria is one of those stops. That we help these guys develop their skills, whether it be hitting, pitching, throwing, whatever it is. We provide them that opportunity to come here and continue to hone those skills, and that's how they continue to grow and become major leaguers. It's fun to see these guys get that call up, after all that hard work. It's not easy, making it, and it is a huge accomplishment, whether you play one game or 1,000 games. It's a huge accomplishment to come in and do that. I think that's, in a nutshell, a little bit about, my day. Like right now, I told you we're really planning. Every day is we're going through meetings and planning what kind of theme nights do we want to do. Today we're looking at jerseys. We've got some fun, got a couple new names that we're going to drop here in the next few weeks that we're going to dress up. People like to have fun with their names. And so we're going to bring back the fun. Our hashtag this year is going to be fun redone, because it's been a couple of tough years for everybody, going through everything we're going through and all that. So we're definitely excited to get people out, definitely excited to, hopefully the sun, like the picture here, will be coming soon. I love the snow, but I'd love it to not be on the field. So that way we can play baseball sooner than later. But let's open it up. If people have questions that I can answer, it can be about anything, whether it's about my career, it can be about the Chiefs, it can be about players. Really nothing's off the table, open door here. Question here: would you ever work in a different sport again? Yeah, I think I would. I didn't tell this, but I think the big thing for me, when I worked in hockey, there was a sport that I said I would never work in, and that was baseball. And here I am. This is year 13 in baseball. In my mind, I looked at it and I go, man, I'm working 42 games a year in hockey. That's cool. Baseball is like 81. That's a lot more games. So I just assumed that it would be a lot tougher. Now I couldn't see it being any different. Working, I love being the fans coming in the ballpark. Game days are my favorite time. Letting people come through, seeing the smiling faces, the kids running around, excited to get autographs or catch a foul ball. That's something that that I missed during the off season. So would I go to another sport? Yeah. If it was there, I hit my goal. My goal in my life was to be a general manager of a sports team. I hit that at the age of 40. And now the question is, what's next? If I end up retiring here in Peoria, I'll be perfectly happy. We love the area. We love the town. My kids are growing up here. They've got a lot of friends. So if that's the case, happy that we moved to Peoria and that we're part of the community. If something comes up and there's an opportunity, absolutely. They haven't worked in basketball. People always think football is the one. I don't know that I want to work in football. That's really only 10 games. That seems like a lot of free time in the office, and I'd rather play games. So, but I don't know that I would go back to soccer. Soccer just wasn't my sport. But again, like I told you guys, karma comes back, and my kids are big into travel soccer here in town, and so I'm a soccer dad. Just don't think I want to work in the sport of soccer. So that was a good question, though. Let's see. Any other questions for me?
Jason, I think we had another question in there. Someone asked, are there any opportunities for youth to work with the Chiefs?
Oh, there it is. Sorry, I missed that one. Glad you brought that up. Thanks, Kyle, for that. I missed that one. There is, the one thing that we've learned, there's different things that we can do for kids. A lot of times, I think now 16 is kind of the age, 15, 16 is kind of the age that we've got to look at for people. But we've got opportunities from being, a bat boy, bat girl for the team. We've got the promo team. We've got the kid zone. We've got store. We've got, food and we can work in the concession stands. You could be an usher, ticket taker. There's a lot of different opportunities to work at a ballpark. It's not something that we go in and tell, we're open to, if people want to come have fun at the ballpark, we think it's the coolest summer job out there. You get to come to the ballpark and be a part of what we do. So yeah, there's absolutely opportunities for youth. We will be doing a couple of job fairs here next month. I think on the 19th and the 26th of February. They're Saturdays from like 9 to 12. We'll be doing job fairs here at the ballpark on a couple of Saturday mornings there as we kind of start planning our seasonal help. But no, definitely we love having people. If you're looking for a fun job for the summer, something to do, I would highly recommend come check it out. To me, it's probably the coolest job you can get, getting to be a part of what we do at the ballpark. How do you go about applying? The biggest thing there is just coming on those days. If you follow our social media, like our Facebook and stuff like that, or check it out, we'll post more there. But on that 19th and 26th, we'll go in and we'll have people here those days interviewing people. We'll have the different job descriptions, but we're going to start announcing that here probably in the next week or so, and then we can kind of go from there. So the next one, what's the youngest age? I think legally it's got to be, I think people have to be 16. I think at 15 you can get get some kind of work permit that you can do it when you turn 16. I think that's what the government, local government has us at, I believe is 16, but you can get a permit at 15 to do that. So we try to follow the rules on it, just to make sure that we don't get anybody in trouble. So that's that's something that we would do. It's probably in that age. I would say 15. Once you're 15, we can do that. If you're an employee, can you get free tickets for your family? Yeah, we always try to take care of employees, within reason, as long as they're not coming in asking for 10 free tickets a day or something like that. We always try to take care of people. So that's a good question. I haven't actually been asked that one before. That's a new one. That's a good one though. What other questions, you guys?
We'll give everyone another minute or two to put their questions in. Jason, I had a quick question for you.
Yeah, what you got?
So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but Peoria is at the single A level. Maybe not everyone is familiar with how affiliated baseball is structured, but I was wondering if you could maybe kind of explain, the levels, double A, triple A, majors.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so it's changed a little bit over time here. When I started my career, usually there was 6 to 7 draft leagues or 6 to 7 different leagues that guys would get drafted. So they've got leagues down in Mexico in the Mexican League. So that was always one where guys could play down there and play in that. But when a guy is drafted or signed to a contract by the majors, they are going to start usually at the complex league. Most of those are guys that are probably 18. Sometimes they're younger. And I'll get into that. That leads me into something here in a second. But they kind of start at the complex league, because they're young and trying to develop. And then from there, now there's a low A, which is in Palm Beach, Florida for the Cardinals. That used to be us prior to 2021. We were the low A affiliate. They end up switching our league with the Florida State League going into 2021. So if a kid goes from the complex, then they move up to Palm Beach and play for them. From there, they would move to Peoria. We are high A. And then if they were moving on from us, the next stop for them would be double A, which is in Springfield, Missouri. And then from there, moving up would be to triple A, which is in Memphis, Tennessee. And then obviously the next step there is to St. Louis into the majors. So there's about 5 steps that you get to from when you're drafted. There's roughly about 5 stops. Not everybody makes all 5. Some people jump stops and skip them if they're good enough. But more often than not, it's about 4 to 5 stops a year. The next question there actually ties into what I was going to talk about is the ages of the players. More often than not, when you think about when they draft players, you have to be 18 years old to be drafted in the major league draft. So a high school senior and up is where now some of those high school seniors, I guess, could be 17 if they have a late birthday. But you got to be a high school senior to be drafted, and then you kind of work your way up. But there's other countries that develop players too. When you think about the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, all those different countries, even Japan. And what they do is they actually have what's called an international signing period. And that's something that we actually are in the middle of right now. So last Saturday was the start of the international signing period. And what that means is you can sign any player from another country and bring them in to be a part of your organization. And they would go down to the complex league. A lot of those kids are going to range from the age of 16 to 18. We did sign a couple 16-year-olds this past weekend. The Cardinals did a few 17, and then a handful of 18 years old. And we got them from different countries. We got one from Japan. We got an outfielder from Japan that potentially could make his way to Peoria this year. He's pretty big already for an 18-year-old. So we might see him late in the year, but a lot of these guys we probably won't see for a couple of years. So, from another country, they sign them as young as 16. In the US here, you've got to be a high school senior. So really from us and ages of players, when we were low A, we had a lot of 18-year-olds, and went from about 18 to 20, 22, 23, somewhere in that range was about the average age for us. Now being in high A, we're probably more 20 to or 19 to 23, 24. We actually did have a couple of 18-year-old kids on our team last year. They're 19 now. I think they were turning 19 during the summer. But we had a bunch of young kids. A year prior to that, we had 3 18-year-olds on our team. So they're definitely young. They get younger every year, and I get older. So, but they're fun to watch. So that was a good question on the ages. What's the youngest players drafted to the majors? The youngest one that I've seen make it is probably like 20. Nobody gets drafted and goes straight to the majors. They've got to kind of work their way through. We had a pitcher here in 2017, Jordan Hicks, that he pitched for us in 2017, and in 2018 he started in the majors, which doesn't happen very often. Last year the Cardinals had a guy here, Dylan Carlson, that was I think 21. He might have been 22, but usually you see if somebody makes it, a lot of times they're probably 20, 21, 20, 20, 21, somewhere there, just depending on kind of how their careers went. But yeah, you don't really see a lot of 18, 19, probably 20-year-olds make it to the majors at this point. But I feel like we're getting closer every year with that. So, but that's a good question. Do they live at the stadium? They do not. Most of them in the past we had what we called host families. What that is people that maybe had kids that were grown and out, or had extra space in their house, would allow players to stay with them during the baseball season, kind of like adopt a player for a few months. Now the major leagues have to pay for the players to stay, so they'll most likely be in apartments or houses going forward. But no, the only one that lives at the stadium is Homer. Those are good questions. Any more questions? Somebody's got to have something, right?
Yeah, these have been great questions. So thanks, everyone. I'll give everyone, another minute if there's any other lingering questions. But as we're getting a little bit late, I think we can start to wrap things up. But just wanted to say, Jason, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do have one other question. If you see that,
there it is.
If you want to answer that one quick.
Yeah. Well, a sport management degree, you can really do a lot of different things. It doesn't really limit you to anything in particular. It could be working on, like on the team side. It could be working for marketing, that do deals for marketing players. It could be, working in an agency where players sign. There's really not, it doesn't really limit you to just working on for a team. You can do a lot of different things with that. I think anything sports related. Some people even go to sport management to be broadcasters and do things along like that. Some guys have got their sport management degree and they take care of the field. So there's really no limit to what you can or can't do with the sport management degree. And to even answer that question a little bit farther, you don't even, a lot of times you don't have to have just a sport management degree to work in sports. I've hired people that don't have a sport management degree to work in our industry. So you learn a lot about the sports by doing the sports management degree. It opens up a lot of doors in this industry, but it's not something that you have to do. You can do a lot of different things with it.
Well, thanks again, Jason. It was great to have you tonight. One last question for you. When is opening day?
April 12th.
April 12th. All right, everybody,
Tuesday,
put it on your calendar.
Tuesday, April 12th. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be a fun season. Looking forward to what you have planned for the season. But Jason, thanks again for joining us tonight. It was great to have you. And with that, we will conclude CASA Choices for tonight. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next month.
all right, sounds good.